So we're doing a free throw today, huh?
Yeah, we're doing a free throw. We're recording, by the way. What do you think?
Yeah, I
Okay.
saw that.
Yeah.
I put my pants back on.
Yeah. I try to surprise you.
Okay, so today we don't have any particular agenda.
Right.
We're going to talk about anything and everything that comes to our mind and basically review the most bizarre records on the planet.
Yeah. Well, the prompt was kind of just like trying to surprise each other, and then
Yeah,
it kind of turned into trying to find rare, less obvious picks. And then I have like one or two where they're maybe more obvious, but not if you know the kind of music that I listen to. So it's kind of a mix. But we.
well, I only know three of your picks. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
remember, you didn't have them done.
Right. Oh, no. I got five now. I got five.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you didn't have them yesterday when we
Right.
talked.
But yeah, it's interesting because we both went in like totally different directions. Like you picked a lot of like funk, older funk, and like blues records and stuff, and I like
Yeah,
went
basically
way
stuff
avant-garde.
I've been digging up, you know.
Yeah.
So like kind of newer stuff that like I was telling you yesterday, stuff that might have been around for a month or two, but I haven't put it away
Yeah.
because I like it too much.
Yeah. Hold on.
So
I'm gonna shut my shade here because I got too much light coming in. I want to look good for the viewers, you know.
you look great, Garrett. So you want to look good for both of them, huh?
Yeah.
Now it's too dark. I think the sword right behind your head says it all.
What?
I think the sword right behind your head says it all.
Yeah. This is my Tai Chi sword.
Yeah.
I'm working on a.
Somehow you and sharp objects just, you know, kind of
I'm trying to get better with it, so I don't have to worry about being around sharp objects.
Yeah. So who's going first?
Let's have you go first.
Okay. So I'm going to start with a record that I truly love. Rufus Thomas, Crown Prince of Dance. Look at that cover. I mean, have you seen a cooler cover? And here he is on the back. Check that out.
Wow. That's iconic.
Yeah, the Crown Prince of Dance, man. This guy was an iconic figure in the Memphis radio scene, and had a show for I think like 25 years in Memphis. And then his daughter was kind of an iconic figure, Carla, in the New Orleans scene. She, I believe, had a club in New Orleans that got flooded out in the big hurricane. But yeah, this guy was known for doing like walking the dog. Remember that? And check out the song titles on here. Get on up and do it. Get spelled Git.
Yeah.
I know you don't want me no more. Funkiest man alive. Tutti fruity. Funky robot. I want to sing. Not I want to sing. I want to sing. Baby, it's real. Steal a little. I'm still in love with you and the funky bird.
Those are great.
And the band on here is Cornell Dupree and the Kingpins, which is like an ultimate sort of legendary Stax band. And this is actually on Stax. Got the yellow label.
Wow. I don't know. I don't think I have any like original Stax records.
I got a
Have to
Sam
look.
and Dave record at the store that you need. Sam and Dave is the ultimate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all the stuff that the Blues Brothers stole.
Right.
You know, it's from this one record on Stax, and we've got an original copy. You know, but
And
yeah, I love this stuff. It's like funky R&B ish kind of stuff with really good funky guitar work. Um, just everything a great Stax record should be. And I love the cover. It's just like one of my favorite covers. So Rufus Thomas, Crown Prince of Dance on Stax.
awesome. I'm gonna start off with maybe probably the only like kind of obvious pick that I have. Maybe to the people, maybe to like record people, but not obvious to me. I haven't listened to much of this band. This is Ricochet by Tangerine Dream. Let's see if I can get this without the. There we go. And this was kind of I've been having part of the reason we just took a brief couple week hiatus is my turntable had been all fucked up and it was playing. I'm sorry for the viewers. It's been messed up. And it was coming out one side more on one side, and I think it turned out to be the stylus because I just got a brand new red Ortofon stylus placed on, and this was one of the things that I was kind of testing it
Can
out.
it shout out?
Oh, Audio Emporium. Go check them out.
Where?
In Brown
Fox
Deer?
Point?
Brown Deer.
Brown Deer.
Something, yeah.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, they're really great. I went in, and they don't let in a lot of people at once. We were the only ones there besides the people working there. So as far as like COVID,
it's always like that.
Yeah, so it's pretty safe.
Very exclusive.
Yeah, and they have like this crazy listening room, and he put on the Nightfly by Donald Fagen. So I was like, this is my guy right here. Yeah, so check them out for what?
He gets it.
Yeah,
plugged in.
Yeah. Anyways, so this is, I mean, I've heard this band mentioned a lot. They're kind of a prog band, but they're not into the like virtuosic display. They're kind of like an electronic jam band, maybe would be a
they were maybe the first electronic band.
Yeah, but it holds up really well. Sounds great on vinyl. Really good synth sounds. Really nice music. Very hypnotic. So I'm sure to a lot of the audiophiles and record fans out there, this is probably not news. That's why I put it up front. But yeah, I really dug this record. It's a live recording, but it sounds unbelievable.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I had that on cassette.
Wow.
You can believe that. Went to a record store and they had like some cassettes on sale for like $1, and I bought that.
Wow.
Yeah. I like Tangerine Dream. They're
yeah,
good.
I mean, you have to be in the right kind of mood, but if you are, it's like perfect.
Yeah, it sparks, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So this is a record I just picked up and actually had walked into my store. I had no idea what it was. It's a funk band by the name of ISIS.
Ken, are you giving us like subliminal anti-American messaging here with your records?
Well, it's unfortunate because they're probably one of the best funk bands I've ever heard in my life. And look at this artwork.
That's gorgeous. So for people who don't know, ISIS is one of the Egyptian goddesses. She's the mother of Horus, so it's no relation to the terrorist group.
So it's called Ain't No Backing Up Now. And I'm telling you, man, this is one of the funkiest records I've ever heard in my life. It is solid as a rock. It sounds like Janis Joplin jamming with Sly. You know, it's just in your face, funky, great female vocalist, and every track on it is excellent. It's one of those things I've never seen or heard of these guys. It's on Buddha Records, by the way. Which was kind of a bubblegum rock label, you know. But the cover looked cool, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna check this out. And I was just blown away. Just solid. And it's like the old school funk. It's really warm, it's in your face, but it's really warm and tubey sounding. I just
Sure.
love the production.
Nice.
So I don't know anything about these guys. It's got the hype sticker. I don't know if it actually ever came out. I'm assuming it did. On here, this is a promotional DJ copy, you know, suggested cuts for airplay. So it obviously was sent to a radio station. But yeah, ISIS. Ain't no backing up now. Great funk album.
Cool.
I'd stack this up with any of the Funkadelic stuff, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah.
I gotta check that out. I don't know anything about that record at all.
There may not be another one. I don't know. Do a little hunting, see
Yeah.
if it's out there.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to top your record cover artwork here. I don't know if you've seen this record before, but the album cover, the album cover is the reason I got it or was interested, but the lineup is also amazing. This is called Oshumare? Check that out. It's by Billy
That's
Hart.
the band?
No, that's the title. The album is by Billy Hart, who, for those of you who don't know, is like unbelievable jazz drummer. He's still around. He actually, a month or two ago, he did a live stream from the Vanguard with I think Joshua Redman and Ethan Iverson. But I'm probably up in the 70s or 80s. But he's amazing. Check out the lineup on this record. So you got Billy Hart, you got Dave Holland on bass, Branford Marsalis on tenor, Steve Coleman on alto, and Bill Frisell on electric guitar, Kevin Eubanks on electric guitar, Kenny Kirkland on keyboards. So for anyone, Kenny Kirkland's kind of like a more underground legend. He only had one record, but it's like unbelievable. And then you have Mark Gray and Didier Lockwood, who I'm not as familiar with. But yeah, man, this is a cool record. This painting is by Z.K. Olarontoba. It's from the collection of Ornette Coleman. But I think
What's the record label?
The record label is Gramavision. No, is that what it is? Yeah, Gramavision.
So it's fairly new.
Yeah, it's from I think like the 80s. Say 85. But I just think it's such a cool lineup because it's kind of people from every corner of the jazz scene. Like Branford Marsalis is more, him and Winton, they're more on the conservatory traditional side, although Branford's a little bit more adventurous.
Yeah.
He played with the Dead and stuff, but
yeah, Bradford gets sort of a bad rap.
Yeah.
He sort of takes on the vibe of his brother, but man, his albums are great.
Yeah, he's cool. He's done some adventure stuff.
Soprano sax player, and he steps out pretty far.
Yeah. But then you have Steve Coleman. Steve Coleman was one of the founders of M-Bass, which is like a whole different, like more funk-oriented group. And Bill Frisell and Kevin Eubanks, two like, on their own records, they sound different, but on this record, they sound very complementary of each other. And then, Kirkland, man, he's unbelievable. So this, it's a cool record. It's got the Kenny Kirkland tune Chance on here, which is I think one of the really great modern jazz compositions. So if you can find this, did I talk about this before?
I don't think so.
I don't think I did. If you can find this record, I got it mainly just for the album cover, but the music's pretty sweet too.
Cool.
Yeah.
So this is another thing I picked up recently. I've never seen or heard about this record anywhere, and this is one of those things I took home for the weekend. And won't be bringing it back. It's called Three Kings and a Queen. And it's a weird mixture of sort of classic blues guys, all from different parts of the country, different eras of blues, older blues. But Big Joe Williams, who's known for playing a 9-string guitar, Lonnie Johnson, Roosevelt Sykes, who's a sort of a barrel house piano, blues piano player, and Victoria Spivey. And I think this might be like a private pressing kind of thing because it's on Spivey Records.
Hmm.
So it's Spivey LP 1004, which sounds like there probably wasn't a lot of records on this label. If there were, maybe a few, but so, and they have a guest artist who you might have heard of. Bob Dylan actually makes a guest appearance on a Big Joe Williams track on the end. So usually this kind of stuff, where there's mixed artists, I don't even bother listening to it. But this one was just so weird, Look at those pictures. Victoria Spivey she's the shit, man. So I took it home and it's just every track is great. I think maybe they just got these guys together and none of them had enough to make a real album. So they just recorded, a few tracks each. It says 4 of the leading all-time exponents of blues, each an individual in heirloom style, have made recorded history in Spivey's 4th LP release, a 16-track monumental vehicle, whatever that means. These veterans, in their long and eventful careers, have accounted for more than 1,500 records, a definitive testimonial to their success. The poetry of life is exhibited in their original blues songs. They are today's royalty and tomorrow's legends.
Wow.
Whoever wrote this, man, this is cool stuff.
It sounded pretty hyped.
Yeah, all compositions except A3 are those of the respective artists. The duet B8 is Miss Stivey's invention. All artists accompany themselves. Bob Dylan, the young folk singer poet of Columbia Records, is the harmonica accompanist on A3 and B2. His voice is also heard on A3. On B8, the Sykes Spivey vocal duet also has moments of duet piano. Wherever there's percussion, it is Pat Wilson, whoever that is. So, it's an actual record. They actually got these guys together.
Wow.
And they recorded these songs, and Bob Dylan showed up at the studio and sat in on 2 tracks. So it's on Spivey Records.
Spivey.
Yeah. So I have no idea what the background behind this label is, but there's no date on here. It looks like probably like very early 60s kind of thing. Because Dylan, was the young folk poet.
Right.
So, yeah, nice find.
Yeah, that looks super
totally
cool.
digging it. It's really, really recorded nicely and, really old school, warm. So, probably never see another one of these anywhere.
Oh. It makes me think the only multi-artist record that I can think of that I listen to a lot is Outlaw Country.
Outlaw Country. You
Right?
mean the Outlaws?
No, not the Outlaws. Outlaw Country with Waylon Jennings and
Yeah, it's the Outlaws. That's the band. Yeah, with
and Willie.
Willie and Waylon.
No. It's not a band. It's like a It's got like 4 or 5 different artists on it.
Yeah, that's the band. The Outlaws.
No, there's a different band called the Outlaws.
All right, hold on. Just talk for a minute.
Hold on. I'll look it up.
I got it.
Are we placing bets?
You never want to get in one of these conversations with me.
Ah, shit.
Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson, Jesse Coulter, and Tom Paul Glasser. You really want to take me on when it comes to records? You should know better. The name of the band is The Outlaws. It's one of the greatest country records ever recorded.
Yes, it's a great record. Ah, shit.
RCA Records. The actual title is called Wanted. The Outlaws Wanted.
That's like a, you know what that is? That's like a Berenstain Bears type effect. You know about that? Have you heard about that? Where like everyone thinks it's the Berenstain Bears, but then you look it up, it's actually the Berenstain Bears.
Really, Garrett? I mean, you wouldn't think I would know about that record. I'm probably the guy that sold you that record.
You did. I was so sure.
And you were probably listening to jazz at the time, and you probably thought I was absolutely crazy for telling you to buy a country record. And then you got home and went, "Holy shit!" Because I was the best country record.
I was already listening to "Sweetheart" of the Rodeo, so I was already. Yeah. I was dipping my toes in already. Okay.
Yeah, that's sort of like, country light.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great record.
That's a great. I love that record.
But compared to the Outlaws,
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean it's not. It doesn't have the feeling of like these people have been country their whole lives.
Well, it doesn't have the attitude. I mean, it's got the chops.
Yeah.
I think Clarence White was on that record. So I mean, there's chops spilling off of that record when you take it out of the sleeve, Yeah. But those guys weren't in jail and stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. They didn't wake up in the middle of a Nashville freeway, after drinking all night.
Well, Graham might have.
Yeah, Graham. Well, he was a rich kid, though.
Yeah, that's true. He was. Yeah. All right. I'm going to shift gears, like, completely. So make sure you're all sitting down because I don't want you to hurt yourselves when I whip this out. This is this is not anywhere near anything we've been talking about. This is, I don't even know what the title of this record is.
That's like electronica, right?
Some of it. So I think it might be called Studio Reiche Neue. No, I think that's the. It might just be called Legetti. I think it's just called Legetti. Georgi Legetti. He's got a crazy story. I don't remember it exactly, but they talk about it. Sometimes if we bring up books, this is why I said we have like totally different lists because I also have another record kind of similar. If you're interested, for all of you who are interested in learning about some 20th century composers, this is the book right here. This is The Rest is Noise, which is kind of a play on Shakespeare's when Hamlet says the rest is silence. But they talk about him here. I think he's from one of the European countries that got invaded by Nazi Germany. He had to leave his home, like travel a bunch of miles on foot. And he composes like unbelievable music. His most famous thing is the soundtrack to A Space Odyssey, 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Did you buy that at my store?
Yeah. So I got this one.
That came from a big collection of really cool, obscure stuff.
Yeah. So I got this one.
The guy was a musicologist and a college professor.
Wow. Yeah. I got this one and then another one from the same label, which I'm guessing is pronounced Virgo. By George Crumb, which is also crazy. But this is like if someone's maybe wanting to dip their toes into 20th century classical music, I think Legetti's a pretty good place to start because his music, it's definitely post Schoenberg, but it's very it's very like accessible, and the ideas that he conveys are very simple. So there's complexity going on, but it's like rather than just a melody going everywhere, it's like, okay, now all the violins are bunched up high here doing this thing. I can like see what it is. So he's got some symphonic stuff, and the last track is electronic called Articulation, which is crazy to think that people like him and Stockhausen is kind of the famous electronic composer, but they were doing stuff with
Oh,
electronics like
Parch.
what?
Harry Parch.
Well,
Harry Parch too.
we'll get to Harry Parch in a minute. But like 10 years before rock music started doing it, like that kind of thing didn't even happen until like the Beatles, basically, which was like
What's that?
60,
What
like electronic, like using electronics and messing
Oh
with
yeah.
tape, and what didn't. It's weird that it was already so established. This is in like 1958, I think, and they were like so ahead of the curve as far as like synthesis and stuff.
Well, they were where the technology was
Yeah,
at that
right,
time.
right. They had
It
access
was
to it.
pretty crude,
Right,
which
but
is what kind of makes it cool, I
oh
think.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, the electronic piece on here is pretty sweet. The sound quality is like it's all right, um, but it's cool if you can find any. I'm probably anything by this label. It seems like they put out cool music. Yeah, so Georgie Legetti, he's hard to find. I mean, I always keep an eye out for him, but this is the first record I found of his.
So usually I'm not big on soundtracks, but I came across this recently. Let's do it again. And basically it's all music written by Curtis Mayfield and performed by the Staple Singers.
It's amazing.
And yeah, check out that cover, man. And yeah, it's got some fairly big names, you know, in the movie. Sidney Poitier, Bill Cosby, a young Bill Cosby, and Jimmy Walker. So usually I wouldn't even pay attention to stuff like this, but I love the Staple Singers. I'm so into them, and it's there they are, by the way. So it's one of those things I checked out just because I wanted to hear some more obscure Staple Singers, and it's also crossover music. Staple Singers did primarily gospel,
Hmm.
and this is kind of, you know, let's do it again. You know, I mean, there's some fairly provocative lyrics, and Staples is just tearing it up on here. You know, she was young and her voice was just really gnarly and raspy, and so I'm really digging this. I picked it up recently in a big soundtrack collection that I ran into. And the other thing about it that's weird is I've never heard of this label. It's on Curtum Records.
Yeah.
It's a cool label, but I've never heard of it. So who knows? I mean, with soundtrack stuff, there might have been a lot of bizarre little labels that just did soundtracks.
Yeah, probably.
But man, I love the Staple Singers stuff on here. It's great. And Curtis Mayfield does a couple of instrumentals also with them.
Yeah.
And I would assume they had probably some of the Stax people on here. It actually says it was recorded at Curtum Studio, Chicago. Engineered by somebody I've never heard of. So yeah, just a really obscure Curtis Mayfield project.
Yeah, I gotta check that out because
Oh, that's great.
I feel like he's kind of Curtis Mayfield is kind of like at Berkeley. I never heard anybody talk about him, even like the film composer people.
Really?
I mean, like as a solo artist, obviously he's iconic, but like I feel like I mean, I don't know. I'm not an expert on this, but I feel like the Superfly soundtrack probably was revolutionary. I mean, there may have been
Definitely.
funky
Yeah.
soundtracks, but like that music is so like cutting edge and so
Yeah,
brilliant.
well, for especially for sort of funky, R&B-ish
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
I guess, a lot of people would call that soul music of that time,
right,
you know.
yeah,
But him and Isaac Hayes, they were kind of the guys
right,
back in the mid to late 60s and early 70s even.
yeah,
So, I don't know. I've listened to some of the later Curtis Mayfield stuff and I thought it was okay.
yeah. No, back when
Wasn't
he was like really on
wasn't
fire.
super fly, you know.
Right,
But
right,
this totally rocks.
yeah. And the record, I think it's just his first name. The record Curtis.
Yeah, it's
That's a
good.
great record.
Yeah.
Um, again, this is what happens when we just kind of leave it open because my next pick. This is
Very March.
the world of Harry Parch. This is a guy that when I first started studying with Jack Grassel, who Ken first told me about, he's one of the great Wisconsin jazz guitar players. Um, one of the great jazz guitar players, I'll say. This is one of the first people he told me about because my mom is a huge classical music fan, and she was telling they were talking about it, and Jack's kind of like he likes classical music, but it's kind of like he wants to be listening to stuff that's new and exciting, and he kind of mentioned Harry Parch as maybe one of the last people who's really been revolutionary in symphonic music, and he was. I mean, this dude was like he created his own tuning systems. So for people who are fans of microtonal music, he was revolutionary in microtonal music, and his own instruments. So there's a school. I don't know if they mention it on here. There's a school where they have all of his instruments. So if you want to play his music, you have to do it on the instruments that have that tuning. Oh, he's got some. He's got a list of them. So he's got a surrogate katara, a oh dear, chromelodian, a diamond marimba, harmonic cannons, cloud chamber bowls. So it's cool music. Some of it's very folky, like very folk music oriented, and some of it's very like abstract, rhythmic kind of stuff, but always very entertaining. And I think this record is in quadraphonic, but I can't listen to it in quadraphonic, but I'm sure it's cool. And there's a documentary that accompanies this. I think it's also called The World of Harry Parch. That's very cool. He was like homeless by choice for like a bunch of years. He just decided he
Really?
wanted to be homeless. Yeah. So he just lived on his own. And you can still see his, not now, but you can still find his instruments. There's like only one of each on the planet.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, my last pick for today is something you'll probably never see again. Little private label thing, Doe and Ray. And here they are.
That's so
So,
50s looking.
yeah. So what this is basically is a Les Paul and Mary Ford knockoff. They sound a lot like Les Paul and Mary Ford in their prime. And it's a really good record. I mean, there's some great um guitar stuff on here stacked up, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think the recording is maybe a little bit crispy compared to Les Paul, but he's doing the same kind of things where he's just stacking up parts. And she's got a voice that's remarkably similar to Mary Ford.
Mm.
But the cool thing about it is it's on a little like private label called Sizzle Records. It's a nice pressing. I really love the cover too. And it's autographed.
Wow.
Says to Betty and Pete, best wishes, Doe and Ray.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And there's some classics on here. Coney Island Serenade, Georgia, If I Had You, Rosemary,
Hmm.
Dixie Highway, Isle of Capri, It Happened in Monterey. There's a lot of classics. But it brings a smile to your face. It's just fun.
Hmm.
And I love the cover. Check out that cover, man.
That's fun.
Yeah.
It's a fun cover.
So it's like one of those records, like you're never gonna see it again. It's just a really cool snapshot of some people's lives that obviously put it on the line to make the record. It's probably their only record, you know. I don't even know if I could find a listing for these guys. And their personal manager has a stamp on the back. Ray Avler, personal manager, and he was like from Chicago, and his phone number is on there. So these people were out
Awesome.
like trying to drum up some business, man.
Yeah.
They're trying to be the next Les Paul and Mary Ford. It's fun. I put it on at the store and people are like, bopping, like having fun listening to it.
Nice.
So Doe and Ray, Guitars in Fashion on Sizzle Records.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to close up with another duo record. This was kind of I'm putting this one last because it's kind of personal to me. This is called Trinkets and Things, and it's a duo record between Ryo Kawasaki, who was a Japanese guitar player and I think also an astrophysicist, and Joanne
I love
Brackeen.
his stuff.
Yeah, he's cool.
I got a lot of his stuff. I had my dad buy some of it in Japan when he went over there.
Yeah.
Years ago, decades ago. Ryo Kawasaki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's cool. This is kind of different than most of the stuff he normally does. This is a duet with my one of my Berkeley teachers, Joanne Brackeen. And it's I have a bunch of her records. I maybe almost should do like a week on them because I have like 6 or 7 of her records, most of them I think. This is a duo record. I think he's on acoustic for most, if not all of it. And there's not a ton of guitar piano duo records out there, just because like personally when I play with piano players I always feel redundant because they can do all their comping for themselves, so I just like sit there while they solo. They don't like, this is the other kind of model that most people have for guitar and piano is of course the Jim Hall and help me out here, Ken. Jim Hall and Bill Evans records.
Oh yeah.
And this is like the total opposite. It's like really fiery. There's a lot of notes. Basically, the story behind Joanne is that she wasn't the first prominent. Well, she was kind of one of the first prominent female jazz instrumentalists. I mean, you had Mary Lou Williams before, but I mean, she really had to fight hard, and she had to play a lot of different things that were not necessarily. She was very successful, but and also
Marion
she wasn't.
McFarlane, don't forget about her.
Who is it?
Marion McFarlane.
Her, I don't know.
And Mary Watkins. They're women pianists.
Sure.
Like jazz pianists.
But she was she was in the Jazz Messengers. I have a record of her with Stan Getz. So she was like the first female, like she was like a serious side person, you know what I mean? And so to do that, she had to play like twice as good as everybody else, and she did. So she's like really got her shit together. It's kind of hard.
Ryo Kawasaki's a very, very articulate player.
Yeah.
He doesn't mess around, man.
No, he's probably the only guitar player I can think of from this time. I mean, she used to play with Coriel, like they would kind of jam because they lived in the same apartment building. So maybe him, like maybe McLaughlin, but like I don't think any other player at that time could have like kept up with the kind of shit she was doing. She was really
That might have been how I got into Ryo Kawasaki. I think maybe Larry Coryell was talking about him,
oh sure.
and I started collecting his records, like 40 years ago. And man, he's got a lot of stuff out.
Hmm. Yeah.
Really good. I like all of it. So it looks like this is on Milestone. Is that
This
right?
is on TI. I don't know what that is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just TI. Timeless Records.
Small label.
Yeah, she's on a couple smaller ones. I'll probably at some point bring up some more of her records, but yeah, if you can find these, they're not impossible to find, but you really have to be looking for them. Like when I was in Boston, I would run into them every once in a while. But like this one, I actually bought from a friend of my mom's, who she was like talking with him, and she was like, "Oh yeah, he studies with this woman out in Boston," and he goes, "Oh yeah, I got a bunch of her records." So I went over. He's trying to downsize. I bought a bunch of his
Really?
Rakhine records. Yeah,
Do you have any more?
he's got a couple more. Yeah. Oh,
I
you
mean,
should see.
records.
Oh my gosh,
We need to go talk to this guy, don't we?
yeah. Well, it rivals what you got going on. I mean, it's a whole basement full
Really?
of like but pretty much only jazz records. Yeah.
I think we need to take a little field trip, Garrett.
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah.
He's
He's
got
got.
stuff like that. He's probably got a bunch of other obscure stuff
Oh
that
yeah.
I've been looking for.
Yeah. I mean, he's got like all the Ornette records, all the Wayne records, like Cecil Taylor. Like he's got the cats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someday I'll show you all the Japanese Ryo Kawasaki stuff I've got.
That would be cool.
Some of that stuff only came out there.
Right. Yeah. There's not. I look. I mean, there's some of his records on YouTube, a couple on iTunes, but like hard to find his stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great player though.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's the free throw.
Yeah. That was interesting. That was a lot of.
There's a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of directions.
Yeah.
So what are we doing next week? Do we know?
No, we don't. I wonder, would it be redundant for us to do like a Steely Dan week? I mean, obviously everyone knows what the records are, but just to go through.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah,
Everybody's done that.
that's true.
Well, we'll talk about it over the week, and we'll come up with something equally as exciting as this episode.
Yeah.
Is this episode 9?
No,
Or
this is like
10?
episode. I think it's episode 10.
It is?
Yeah.
Wow.
We'll
All
see.
right, well, we're back in the saddle.
Yeah.
Got to get more viewers, though.
Yeah. Tell your friends.
Yeah, and subscribe.
Subscribe. Which side am I at?
Press
It's
the
either there
button.
or there. I can't see.
I know we aren't much to look at, but
There.
we have cool records.
Yeah.
We have
Yeah.
records you'll never see anywhere else. All right.
All right.
So, till next week.
Hey, people. Tell your friends about this. Come on.
See you, Garrett.
All right. Bye, everybody.